Right now at 11, federal investigators say the Amtrak train that derailed in Philadelphia was traveling twice the speed limit when it left the track. Good evening, I'm Bruce Johnson.
And I'm Leslie Foster. Our colleague Derek McGinty has been in Philadelphia all day, and he's anchoring our team coverage from the scene of last night's deadly crash. Dee?
Well, Leslie and Bruce, the sun, as you know, has gone down, and there's a decided nip in the air up here in Philadelphia. But if you look over my shoulder, you can see the work goes on. Investigators will probably be here working into the night long after we in the media have gone home. Right now, we know for sure many things that investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are going to be here looking at this for a while. 7 people are confirmed dead tonight. More than 200 are injured, and the search continues for unaccounted for passengers. Also tonight, crews are using the heavy equipment to move those derailed cars to a secure location for further examination. We also now know the identity of the train's engineer, as the NTSB investigation appears to be increasingly focused on the speed of the train in the moments just before that deadly crash.
Maximum authorized speed through this curve was 50 miles per hour. When the engineer-induced brake application was applied, the train was traveling at approximately 106 miles per hour.
The NTSB is now analyzing that black box from train number 188 bound from D.C. to New York, and investigators say the train's forward-facing camera may also hold clues about exactly what caused this terrible crash. The train's engineer has been identified. His name is Brandon Bastian, and the NTSB says it's yet to speak to him. Philadelphia's mayor says that engineer was treated for injuries suffered in the crash and then taken to a police station, but the Philadelphia police say he declined to make a statement to them before he left the station with a lawyer.
This person has gone through a very traumatic event, and we want to give him an opportunity to convalesce for a day or so before we interview him.
Amtrak's in the process of installing a system called Positive Train Control. It's automated technology designed to slow down a speeding train, and it's supposed to be adopted by the end of the year.
Based on what we know right now, we feel that had such a system been installed in this section of track, this accident would not have occurred.
And in fact, that positive train control system had been installed up and down much of the East Coast, just not in the area where the crash occurred, which has got to be a bitter pill to swallow for those grieving the loss of a loved one or suffering a grievous injury. Now, we know it has been about 24 hours since the original tragedy unfolded. Our Deborah Alfarone has the latest on that investigation by the NTSB. Deborah.
And you know, Derek, we are wondering, why was that train going more than 56 miles an hour, more than it should have been? There are so many things we don't know tonight, but here's what we do know. Amtrak train 188 took off from D.C. at 7:10 Tuesday night on its way to New York City. After it made its way to Philadelphia at 9:21, it hurtles off the tracks, tossing 7 cars, some on their side, causing chaos and carnage.
It felt like tilted over, it felt like we were in the air, and then we hit.
Keep crawling, okay? Where am I crawling to?
Crawl forward, sir.
238 passengers and 5 crew members, including the engineer at the controls, had to be evacuated, rescued, and some didn't make it out alive.
I see them coming out with stretchers and people having, all types of injuries, shaken up, bloody faces.
That night, Amtrak cancels all service between New York and Philadelphia. The investigation launches immediately. By Wednesday, officials say they can't account for everyone who was supposed to be on the train. And still, not all the dead have been publicly identified. The black box holds the key, and it's analyzed in Delaware. Late Wednesday afternoon, officials announced the train was traveling at twice the speed it should have when it went off the rails along that sharp curve. All but 2 of the 7 cars are lifted by cranes and taken to a secure location for the NTSB to continue their investigation. Jeff Cutler of Brooklyn, New York, escaped from the second car with a hurt leg and a bump and bruise on his face.
This thing happened and it came out of nowhere, and where I was sitting, it felt like the train almost lifted off.
Federal Railroad Administration says that they actually inspected those tracks just before that train derailed. He said there wasn't any problem at all. And the NTSB says they're going to have another press briefing tomorrow, so we will be finding out more information. And they say they expect to be here throughout the week, Derek. So it's going to be certainly a busy week. We're going to find out a lot more and get some more answers to those questions.
All right, Deborah, thank you so much for that. Now, I should note that the investigators are also going to be looking at the age of the rail cars involved. Those things date all the way back to the 1970s. Pictures from inside the train just moments after the crash show luggage all over the place, folks being hit, blood, passengers were tossed around as the train tumbled. All of this raises questions. Do we need seat belts on those trains?
That's certainly something we want to understand. Was that a contributing factor to either the derailment or injuries or deaths that followed?
Now, the doctors who treated patients say they were surprised by a number of things. First of all, there were so many rib injuries involved. They were also surprised that there were so few head injuries involved. And quite frankly, and I guess this was a happy surprise, we're fortunate that there were not more deaths.